I'm not going to do any more to that. That's great. But what I want to do is I want to show you how I did that over here, because this is, and here, both of these two areas are the same, which means that we darken it. Now, I've already started the ball rolling here, so let's get this out the way, because without that depth in here, we really haven't got much to go on down the bottom. We've got to have the contrast between here and here by having the light in between. Now this is 181. Now this is hard because we've got to do two things here at the same time. We've got to work the pencil around and round and round like that, so we get that wonderful sense of movement. And we've also got to strengthen. I've already put in there the grey, white, the grey, the ivory and the ochre, and you can see how it's working now. We now need to put just a little bit of strength in the spots, really. We don't want too much. If you overdo this, you're going to have a little problem. But this is why this is such a hard picture. There's no easy way out. That is got to have a depth in it. Now I started with the grey 233, then I've used the 181, and now the black. And the black, it goes in the very deepest area, you see that? Now having done that, you can then see that this is miles too light. It needs to be brought out. But we don't just use that, we use the ochre as well. So it's 181 and the ochre and, surprisingly enough, the ivory. All those colours go to make this tone up. It's almost there now. Now the white can go in. Now I normally turn this round because it's easier for me, but I'll just show you briefly how this works out, and then I'll have to turn it round off camera because I can get more pressure on it. So we're putting the white in now, the light in, intermingling it with the dark that we've already got. And you get that kind of dirty, whitey look that these foxes have. It's not very good grammar, folks, but I think you've got the idea of what I'm talking about. That area here, it is a mouth, and I'll leave this area alone so you can see how much of a contrast there is. 181. It tails off there, it doesn't go any further than that, but it's quite dark. So do it like I'm doing it, in sort of gradual stages, because there is also some dark under there. Let me just put that in as well. I'm going to put it in with the 283 initially, but that will have to have dark brown and possibly a little bit of perhaps 181 or black on it. So that's going to also be dark. I might as well do that. And then, you see what I mean by that? That's just about right. Now this now needs to be a little darker here. Like that. And the ochre, don't forget the ochre, 182. And then right in the very darkest part of that, you put the black. Like that. Now when this side is done the same as that side, that's going to look fantastic. A little bit of white back in. And I think then I'm going to leave it alone there. So what about this over here? what I've got already is put some white in. Now, white there is our stopping point. I've also put ivory. This is going to be very light down here, in contrast to this, which is going to be very dark. So I started with the 182, if you remember. I didn't put any light under that because I knew it was going to be very dark. So let's just extend that down a little bit more so that you can see the contrast we're going to have between here and here. Now also this is going to be, now this I would say is slightly lighter than that, so therefore it would warrant having the ivory underneath to there, and then the white can take over like that. Okay, now where was I? I was putting this in. I don't think I'll go any further than that. And then you want all the dark colours, so all the dark colours we've used, which is 187. Now it would be worth you playing, once you've watched it once, return and play this again, just to see how this actually builds up from the 182 as opposed to the lighter colours. Now that's good. Now we need some colour in it. What I think I might do here is put some orange, but I think what I'll do is put the darker orange, which is a 113 as opposed to the 109, simply because we want to keep this quite rich and dark. Okay, now that's good. Now I think we'll blend it, and I would probably suggest you use the grey colour shaper. I'm using it on its corner there, because it gives me a lot of pressure and I can push it into the paper. Now I've got to work in the direction that I imagine the fur is lying in. It's not very obvious. Now this is where we can start to build up that edge, so that eventually that will have a lovely transition, just like this is. Now you're not going to get rid of the tooth altogether this time, but you will do when we finish, as I've showed you here. So now we're halfway mark. Okay, we've got it nice and strong. Now we've got to start building the strength up. I would go in with 283 to start with, simply because it's a compatible colour. And here we're bringing it up to and including the area we've done before. So all this now should marry up nicely. Now this does take a while, but it's worth it. Now there are some light streaks coming down here, which means you can put the dark up into it, which will suggest the light coming into it. Got it? You've almost done that now. Not a lot more to do with that bit. Let's bring some of that colour up. Some of it will be transferred with the pencil by mixing the colour down here. Will bring it up, and the colour shaper will do the same thing later on. Now on the reference picture you'll see there's quite a lot of dark streak, but I don't put that in yet. We don't put it in until later. We just get the general tone first. This is probably the tone that I will want here. It's here that I want it darker. And you can see now the contrast between this and this, which means this has got to be a lot darker. Okay, now that's the 182, and now the other colour we're going to use is 176. Now, even at this stage, you can feel the paper beginning to clog up. now you know the reason why I don't put all those other colours on. Because had I done, we'd have had to fight the paper, and we don't want to do that. And this is where we start the ball rolling on the depth that you'll probably see on the reference picture. Look at that. See the depth? Now you see this is darker than that. Now, and also I want to put in the red. This is the 192. It's a fantastic colour, but it has to be added. It's here, 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 here. You can see it being picked up. And that is it. Except now we have to work our magic with the blender. Now remember the colour shaper I said, we can then travel the colour up. Now you can turn this round and do it the other way if you like, but I kind of find it easier for you to see it this way, and it's not really a problem for me. It would be if you use the ivory one, it'll flop about a bit, but the grey one is a bit more solid. Now you can see how that is, and it's no harm at all in including some of this colour in the grey. Right. And remember, we can come back the other way with the lighter colours, but what we're doing now is pushing the colour into the paper. Now you'll see as I go through here, you can see the action of the colour shaper almost replicating fur. Well, I hope you can see it. You're close enough, for goodness sake. And this is why it's important now to follow that fur direction. And I'm going to put some more dark colours in there in a little while, but I won't then be blending again. But let me just stop when I get to here, and you'll be able to see the results of that. Difference between there and there. Now you might think, oh well, I can't see a great deal. Well, I can, and I know that the overall effect will be stunning. So let's just interfere now with some of that colour. You see that transition I've given you there? Working one way then t'other. Now we're bringing the light back. Now that is pretty magical stuff, I've got to say. And if you I will go back the other way because this is great, but I do need to turn it upside down. Well, I won't do that now, but you can see how now that transfers itself. Brilliant. Now, what about dark I was talking about? Well, dark you can put in, but I would probably suggest you use the black. Wow, black, eh? Yeah, well, it works if you've got something as dark as this. Remember, when you use black, it's a darkening agent. It's not a colour, so it won't create colour. It just creates tone. But look, I think you'll see that. I don't think I have to explain it. You can see how, and I'm following now the idea of the direction that I saw the fur lying on. That's going to look even better when I get this bit in, because this will be another transition. But I'll show you that in a minute. And what about that horrible spot on there? Well, folks, we've got to get rid of it, even though I'm going to make that dark up there. Good idea here. Let me just move that down so you can see it better. I'm using the hard end of the double-ended eraser just to get rid of that spot. Now that's light enough to be dispersed in the background. Great. Now what I'm going to do now is I'm going to do this same as that, and I'll probably show you in stages. Then I'm going to bring this in to play as well. So I'll show you that and that, but I won't be narrating it. But we've got to get down to the nose, and once I've done that and finish this off, we'll put the nose in and the eye. Now the eye is interesting, that's why I'm saving it. Nose and eye then.